Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? So we are going to be basically zeroing out a couple of players in ZF today. So kind of a lowdown. I'm going to go ahead and give you so basically this guy's got 21 million ore. The other guy has 22 million gold. Now, interestingly enough, right? In the case of sizing up any of your enemies, and this goes for anybody, so this is kind of a tutorial, but also a video for you guys. So if you're trying to size up whether or not you should or should not hit somebody, the first thing you need to ask yourself is what kind of leader are they, and what kind of gear do they have? So in this case, he is wearing all basically research / construction gear. So he's basically a dead fish. As far as gear stats are concerned, leader-wise, anytime somebody doesn't have gold heroes, it's a huge no-no because you're not getting any squad boost there, so that doesn't do you any good. And looking at his composition, we can see that he's got 100,000 trebs, but a good, and I mean a good portion of what he has here is low in guards, high in range, and low and midway into cav. So he's fairly even across. You can look through here, though, and you'll notice that he does not have hardly any, as you can tell in here, hardly any infirmaries. Now, that's a dangerous thing that he's kind of put himself in. So we're going to go ahead and take a whack at him because that means at very little he has 40,000 troops and not enough to cover him. So here we go. So we're going to go ahead and spawn in here. First things first, of course, is you always want to make sure that you know what phalanx you're throwing it in. In this case, I'm going to probably go ahead, throw cav at him because why not? Of course, some people have asked me, well, why do you choose the comp that you do? It's just basically the idea is to knock him out one unit type at a time. You can do it in any other format, and there's no harm in that. In this case, we're going to smack him with just cavalry. That's going to knock out basically all, if not every single unit he had. As you can tell, mostly tier 3 deads there, and 124,000 dead range. So we know he's in range. So logically, I can now either hit him again and cavalry, which is what I'll do. Go ahead and do it again. So once again, same exact attack. And we'll basically just let that one go through. And while that is doing that, we'll go ahead and pop a heal. So we'll go ahead and pop to 12 mil there. And let's go ahead and pop that. And go ahead and heal that. So there's an 8 hour, and then basically 3 hour. Then we got a little bit extra, so 5 hours. Oop. I'll pop another 2 mil there, and basically 2 3 hours. And Viola. Now, essentially now whatever he's got left. So there's 375,000 dead. And he's left with just cavalry left, so we can pop him with full range. So again, attack, send full range, and then because of good essence rate, we want to make sure we go to range phalanx, and we want to make sure that we put on range gear. And that should clean him out. So there we go, we got his leader, and 192,000 dead. So between the 3 marches, you can see I only lost a mil there and another 2 mil there. So for the grand total, he ended up losing basically all of his troops there. Now we'll go ahead and send in gather gear, send the full attack, and because of how basically infantry are, they're the heaviest of the bunch when it comes to holding resources. So we're just going to send a couple marches. Of course, you can always make them a little bit more efficient, but for this case, we're not going to worry too much about that, because all we're trying to do here is just clean them out as quick as possible. So at this point, there's another 7 mil, and there we are. So he's cleaned. All right, let's check and see what Angelic has here real quick. All right, let's see. Anti-scout failed. Whenever I see an anti-scout, in my experience, it is just better not to hit anti-scouted targets. And you can take a 50-50 chance with somebody that's 75 mil and see what they got. But as for K-Gen, let's see what K-Gen has here. So again, always size up what do they wear. This guy is a monster hunting gear, so he's not prepared for this. He has mostly guards and range, and it's kind of unclear what he's got going for himself there. You can see that you can count the number of infirms here. So he's got 4 that I know of: 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 total infirmaries. All right, so that means he's got a full infirm stack, meaning that at the very best, he's probably got 500,000 for his total, which means that if I do try to take any of his troops out, odds are they are all going to go into the infirms. Now, for this particular purpose, I'm not terribly excited about taking out just a guy for his infirms, so I'll leave him alone for now, because 22 million gold is not that incredibly valuable for 500,000 or so wounds. I will likely pay what I spent in resources just trying to get it out, so we'll just keep scouting the hive and see what else is out there. Again, when it comes to like clearing and zeroing people out, people have always asked, well, why are you sending one unit type? Now, in honesty, you could, if you wanted to, you can send a mixed. In my opinion, mixed is not anywhere near bad. You can send 65k, basically tier 4 across, with some buffer in between. Or you could send 2 unit types and then a little bit of buffer in between. There's no harm in that. It's just when you're sending one troop type like I am, with as much tier 4 as I have, the aim here is not really so much to try and hit them over multiple attacks. It's to basically wipe out one unit type, go to the next unit type, wipe that out, go to the next unit type, rinse, repeat. Now, in practice, this works great when you're working with people that are about a mil or lower, but with people that are a little higher, that's not going to always work out so well unless you just want to hit them a couple dozen times. So, yeah, it looks like he's emptied, and the other guy is emptied, and 15 million. Okay, and he's not emptied. So we'll go ahead and we'll take we might want to take a splurge on that guy for his timber, but let's just make sure there is no one else around. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, for the most part, right? And this kind of goes in, like, in general, whenever you try and basically zero somebody out, you always want to make sure that that's not the only target that you have access to. So, for me, I'll probably, stop here, go to the next target, and rinse repeat. So let's just keep looking here. So nope, not anti-scout. Again, I avoid anti-scouts just because it's, in my opinion, just not worth the risk. There are sometimes a risk associated to that if you want to gamble on it, you can. And sometimes it gambles well, and other times it gambles horribly. So, in my case, it's kind of 50-50. But, yeah, having that said, right? That is pretty much that, though. And that's kind of how you clean somebody out. It's not terribly difficult. Now, I'm going to go ahead and random, because, again, it doesn't really matter who in this kingdom I mess with. It can be any guild for that matter. I mean, this guy happens to, have his name associated with that. It doesn't really matter to me. And of course, you guys are probably wondering, so what am I going to teach you today? Of course, some of you guys have heard about Blackwing. I thought we'd go ahead and kind of discuss a little bit briefly on what kind of team you want to use. So if you're up against Blackwing and Grim Reaper, right, the main key factor here that you want to learn from this particular monster is that you're going to want to, so let me give you 15k, all right? When you're dealing with level 1s, I prefer, and this is kind of a question of, well, their magic defense is pretty high, so your best bet is to use physical damage. Now, when it comes to physical base damage heroes, you can use a combination like these, where basically you're trying to up the DPS as much as possible. And this team works just fine. Now, I think in theory, you probably could, if you've got the pay-to-win heroes in your asset, you probably wouldn't hurt too badly by throwing in like a femme fatale, for example. May not hurt so bad. A master cook would probably be a good slot there. And I think even Chaos Dragon, if he was at gold, is probably not a bad option as well. But having that said, right, if you're just playing the game normally, yeah, you do have the option to use, like you could use Shade, you could use, you could even use Night Raven really if you wanted to. But I feel like, at least for the general rule of damage for most people, it's going to be in that department. So yeah, that's the team I use on Grim Reaper. And then of course with Blackwing in particular, again, kind of the same thing. It's more or less, kind of like last week. It's really just the same stuff over again. But, again, I thought I'd go ahead and share that with you guys. Now, having that said, right, I kind of wanted to know, guys, like, what is something that you guys would like to see more of on the channel? Because, like I said, up to this point, I know I kind of teased at maybe doing a Hearthstone series on my channel. I thought maybe we could talk more about Lords Mobile, but I didn't really know what. Of course, guys, I've been, college has just started, so everybody's going to school. I'm sure some of you guys out there are probably already in school. But, for the sake of the video, I just thought, I'd leave it at that question for you guys, and we'd kind of see where we'd go from here. So feel free to let me know what you guys think. Make sure to check these other videos out and let me know and leave a like below, and I'll see you guys to the next video.